The Summer I Turned Pretty just finished a couple weeks ago, and you're either ecstatic for your close personal friend Conrad Fisher to finally get his girl back, or you're wondering how the heck do any of these characters even like each other. But no matter what party you're in, I know we're all thinking the same thing. A beach house far away from the city with cute boys around, and how do we get there? How do we get to that beach house? And how do we not pay for it at the same time? Isn't that nice that Billy just had access to this nice beach house? But if you're still looking for that feeling, if you're looking for that beach house feeling, here are a couple books to get you right back into the swing of summer and iced coffees and ice cream and just a nice summer feeling. There are so many summer romances out there. Summer just seems to be the time and place for romance in literature, I guess. But there are a few that are much, much better than others. Sorry, as things go in the world, some are great and some I didn't enjoy as much. Here are a few that I really, really, really enjoyed. To be frank, it's been a very long time since I sat down and read a romance book other than recently. And so getting back into romance books, if I would have started with one I didn't like, it wouldn't have gone well. But thankfully, the one I started with was It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. And this is probably my favorite romance that I'm going to be talking to you about today. This was by far the best. If you've been on Book Talk, this exploded on Book Talk a couple years ago, so I'm sure you've heard about it. But if you haven't, grab this one, okay? Go to your bookshelf, throw them away, and put It Happened One Summer as the number one book you need to read. So this book made me laugh out loud many, many times, which is not normal. I will say that. And the story revolves around the female main character named Piper, who comes from LA. She is this influencer type. She was spoiled. She basically gets in trouble by throwing a huge party, and her stepfather gets really mad at her. So in punishment of this huge party, her stepfather tells her she has to move to this small town in Washington where her father is from to learn hard work, to learn discipline, to, not have rooftop parties in LA anymore, basically. Piper is hilarious. She is sparkly. She has so much personality. Usually this type of character can be really, really annoying, but she is so funny. Tessa Bailey really hits it off with this character. She just has some one-liners that just laugh out loud, basically. The male main character is a grumpy crab fisherman, which is the most dangerous job in the world. And he's a huge part of the town. Since it's a small town, a big part of the story is that everybody knows each other, and he is a central figure in this town. He was married a long time ago, but his ex-wife unfortunately passed away. And a part of the plot is his stepfather having trouble acknowledging that his daughter, so the main character's ex-wife, is gone. The male love interest is juggling between wanting to move on but wanting to respect his ex-stepfather. Father. I really did enjoy this one. The characters felt somewhat realistic. It wasn't rushed. The climax of the story felt realistic. It wasn't just a thrown in plot point, but something that could really happen in a real relationship. And it was just hilarious, which what else can you ask for other than, you've got yourself a big, strong man. You've got yourself some funny one-liners and realistic plot. Win, 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 if you ask me. I highly recommend this one. And if you really liked it, there's also a sequel, which is about Piper's sister. The sequel is nowhere near as good as the first one, but it's still worth reading. The sequel is called Hook, Line, and Sinker. the timeline of this book happens after the first book, and she had initially moved to this small town with her sister, but she had done it just to support her sister. And so near the end of the first book, she moves back to LA, but she moves back to the small town because of the movie that she's working on is being filmed in the small town. And she ends up living with Piper's boyfriend, his best friend. And they live in the same apartment. And I think we all know what happens after that. Hannah, the female main character in this one, is more of an artsy person. She's a little bit younger, so she's still figuring out her career. And she's a bit more grounded than Piper. The male main character, his name is Fox, and he also works as a crab fisherman. So that's nice. That's a nice read. And he kind of plays the bad boy, gets around a lot. But as he grows his relationship with Hannah, he realizes that he is actually worthy of a real long-term relationship. And that's nice. And I found that this book brought a depth to this stereotypical kind of boy who gets around a lot and sleeps around a lot. It brought a different depth to it, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it was a nice sort of addition to this trope if you like this trope, but there was more to it, which was refreshing. This one is a slow burn, so I'm just warning you, it does take a while for the relationship to build up, but it is worth it in the end. It's cute, it's fun. I love when there's multiple books set in one world with similar characters, familiar characters, because you just love those characters and you love to see more of them. You want to see more of them. So this was just fun to live in the world of Newport Beach, Washington for another book. Definitely read those two books. The first one is by far the best, but stick to the second one anyways. I'm not sure what happened to me when I read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, but the end result was this. This book has two timelines, and you follow Sam and Percy, the two main characters, in the now and the present when they're adults, as well as years and years ago when they were teenagers. And so the book follows Percy as she moves to a small town in Ontario called Barry's Bay, and they're on a lake with her family, and they're moving into a vacation home for the summer, which they will continue to go to for the next couple summers for every summer after. And she meets Sam, who lives a door down or two doors down or something with his mom and brother, and they're both 13. The brother's a bit older, and they start hanging out, and the story shows what I thought was an extremely tender and realistic depiction of what it's like to fall in love when you're really young, and just the strong connection you feel with somebody when you get to know them over multiple years, and then you realize that you love that person. And it just got me. I don't know how else to say it, but it got me. So I really recommend it. The second timeline, you meet Percy and Sam multiple years later, and you realize that something has happened and they don't talk to each other anymore. Sam's mother has passed away, so Percy is asked to come to the funeral. So Percy goes to Barry's Bay for the first time in multiple years. She encounters Sam again for the first time in multiple years, and they're hinting at something that happened and why they don't talk to each other anymore. And the climax of the story is essentially discovering what that problem is, or what that situation is, and if they resolve it or not, right? It's a love story, so, but I will say that once you discover what the problem is, it was a little bit disappointing to realize that, like, these grown adults couldn't get over this problem, if you ask me, things happen when you're young that you wouldn't do as an adult, essentially. And if you can't see that a couple years later and realize that it was a mistake, it just felt a little bit like the problem wasn't that big of a deal, or or it was a big deal, but that it shouldn't have taken 14 years for them to get over it. So that's my opinion, because when you're 30, you start to realize that life is short. And actually, I'm not 30, but even when you're 21, you start to realize that life is short, and if you love somebody, that's all that matters. But Sam and Percy didn't realize that. The real highlight of this book for me, as I said, was the depiction of young love and the way that Sam cared for Percy and the tenderness. And there was some, I don't want to call it smut because it's really not smut, but there was some intimate scenes in this book, and I just felt like it was so well done. And the way he cared about her and wanted her to feel okay, it was just so cute. I think it made me emotional, thinking that I wish every young girl could experience their first time the way that Percy does, because I know that that's just not the reality, and a lot of first times are actually just really not great. Like, they can be really shitty. I was almost crying for like every girl who I wish could have experienced like first time and first young love like this. I highly recommend this one. Fair warning, it's a little bit messy, but just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. It was fun to read. It was suspense. It kept you interested. So just enjoy it. And the sequel follows Sam's brother, who plays a pivotal role in the first book. His character is kind of funnier. He's more outgoing. He's a bit older. He's kind of more of a man than Sam. Sorry, Sam. This one is a standalone. You can read without having read the first one. But like I said, I love it when you just get to hang out in this world with these fictional characters that you like on these nice, beautiful summer days. There's a nice house. They're swimming. They're going on in the boat. Just, that is what we're here for. We're just here for the vibes. This is really why I read romances, is for the vibes. So read the first one and then the second one, because the vibes go up. The vibes go up when you read both of them. You meet a new character, Alice, who takes her grandma to her grandma's friend's cottage because she just fell dancing and she had to get a surgery, and she's bringing her to the summer cottage to uplift her, get her out of this kind of injury rut that her grandma is in. Alice herself has just gone through a breakup and feels a little like she's in a rut in her career. So this is the perfect opportunity for her also to take a moment to breathe, take a moment to think, and enjoy life again. She decides to write herself a bucket list. And because of this list, she encounters Charlie, who is Sam's brother. She meets Charlie, and then they make babies and they get married, and that's the end. Just kidding. So they become friends, and it's a good depiction. Just like the first one was a good depiction of young love, this one is a good depiction of falling in love when you're a little bit older. You're in your mid-30s. Not that it's old, but you're not 18 anymore, right? And so your skepticism, it's not as easy for you to trust people. You're coming with more relationship experience. Not always good. The story follows them becoming friends and then falling for each other, but they have to confront their own feelings and their own shortcomings. I really did like this. I thought it was really good. It didn't hit quite like Every Summer After, because that one just hit me like a freight train. I can't tell you why, but this one was still really, really good. And I highly recommend, especially if you're looking for a more mature take on romance and not just like two 18-year-olds falling in love. So next up is basically anything by Emily Henry. Those Emily Henry books it if you've been on the internet, you know her. Okay, so nobody's gonna pretend like this is a secret book that I'm sharing with. These are secret books I'm sharing with you guys. No, these are really popular, but you're gonna see me reiterate. If it's a good book, I'm gonna tell you about it. Okay, so that's why I'm speaking about Emily Henry. So I've read all the Emily Henry books except for the newest one. But my top two, I'm going to tell you about my top two. And my top two are Happy Place and Funny Story. Funny Story follows Daphne, who is engaged to get married to somebody. And when he goes off on his bachelor party, he basically comes back in the morning and he says, I'm in love with my best friend who you know and came to my bachelor party. And basically what we realized during this bachelor party is that we love each other. So this engagement is off and I'm going to go be in love with her instead. And Daphne doesn't like that. That's not good news for her. And this girl that her ex-fiance's best friend was also in a long-term relationship with this guy named Miles. And since Daphne is a librarian, she doesn't have endless wads of cash. She moves in with Miles because she needed somewhere to stay, right? She's not going to live with her ex-fiance anymore because that would be weird. So she's moving in with Miles. And Miles is just, he's not your typical big strong man. I love me one of those, but he is he's more of this artsy, he's friends with everybody, he's super social, he has his community, he knows everybody, right? He is a bartender at this nice winery, so he's just this social, friendly, he's this cool guy, and there's just something nice about him. He's not trying too hard to be anybody but himself, and that's really sweet. Story follows these two as they go through their own feelings of once being in love and being engaged to marry somebody to now not being, how this makes them feel while their relationship together develops. And it just I find that Emily Henry does a really good job at turning more stereotypical tropes, but making them feel real and funny and I hate to use this word, but fresh. It's the same trope, but it doesn't feel like a recycled storyline. The trope in Funny Story would be a close proximity trope where two people they're forced to live together essentially, and the story develops from there. But it just felt like it was funny. The setup was, you felt bad for Daphne, but it was funny. It wasn't like, oops, I left my key at home and now I have to go share the bed with my friend's brother. Or like, it felt realistic. Like as an adult, something bad happens to you and then you need to find a place to stay. That's what happened basically. So that felt realistic. There were some one-liners that were hilarious, and the characters were just fun people. They were fun to be around. So I really recommend that one. Next up, I'm going to talk to you about Happy Place. Happy Place is about a young couple who finds themselves wanting to keep the peace at their friend's engagement celebration by not telling them that they broke off their own engagement 6 months ago and haven't spoken to each other since. This book is about them facing why their relationship fell apart 6 months ago. It's about friendship and friendship as adults. It's about how your parents and the love between your parents affects the love that you have with your partner now and what that looks like and how you position, what you bring to a relationship and how you see the world differently because of the way your parents did. And I really recommend this book to anybody that wants just Emily Henry books. They're easy to read and they're easy to get through, but they are powerful books. They are poignant, they are heartfelt, they bring amazing characters with realistic but complex characters with real emotions, and you see them. You see yourself in them, and you feel the same emotions as they do, and it feels good to read about characters that feel real and feel like it could be you. Like with Funny Story, Happy Place could be placed under the trope of fake dating. And so the two characters start by fake dating because they want to keep the peace. It's not like I need a date to my sister's wedding, so I'm grabbing some random person from my work that I've never talked to before to come to a very personal event, in a very personal and intimate event with me, and pretend that we're dating. That's not what's happening here. It's two people who care so much about their friends, not taking any light away from their friends' engagement by talking about their own problems. So they decide to just pretend as if they're okay, which again, I think that is something that could happen in real life. Is it as realistic? It's not as realistic as, let's say, breathing air every day, but it's a more realistic take on this trope. All Emily Henry books are really great, and I highly recommend, except I haven't read the newest one. So I hope you pick at least one of those up. Maybe you've already read them, but read them again, okay? Because I will probably read them again next summer, if I'm being honest. I will read about Piper and Mr. Crab Fisherman all over again. And I hope you enjoyed these. I hope if you grab one of these books, that you enjoy them. And let's just keep living vicariously at a summer beach house for the rest of our lives.